Welcome to the What's New in Data and AI. The agenda of today is very simple but very cool. We go over the latest updates of AI and data, and we will actually start with the data updates. And later in the call, you can, of course, ask all the questions that you might have and throw them at our lovely presenters of today, which are Kais and Matthias, the head of machine learning in Belgium and the head of data and AI in Sweden. And so I will immediately leave the floor to them so that they can start with their updates. Good luck, guys.
Thanks, Laura. Hi, everyone. I'm Matthias. I'm leading the data and AI practice in the Nordics for Devoteam. And I am here to present to you some of the latest updates to all the lovely data services. So what I tried to do is, of course, mention everything that is an AI feature in a data service, but not mention anything that is purely AI. I leave all that to Kais. So that's how we divided the different roles here. And I love to get questions, so please feel free to raise your hand and ask me any questions if you happen to have any. So let's go ahead and jump in with 10 of my favorite BigQuery updates from the last few months or this last quarter. I think BigQuery is the big powerhouse of Google Cloud in general, in some sense, but definitely for the data and analytics part. And hopefully most of you use BigQuery already. So these should be all very interesting and relevant updates. So on this slide, I collected some of these new feature updates. So the first one is the event-driven cloud storage to BigQuery transfer, which is now generally available. So you can set up data transfers from cloud storage to BigQuery that would be triggered by cloud storage write and write events. So if something in your cloud storage gets added or updated, then that would trigger this cloud storage transfer. Previously, the way we did it, you could have either scheduled transfers, or you could set up with EventArc and PubSub and Cloud Function or something, a hacky way to make it event-driven. But now it's generally available, supported by the BigQuery data transfer. The next one is the ability to run Python defined in BigQuery data frames from dbt. So if you're using dbt for your data warehouse and you want to use some Python code to do BigQuery data frames stuff, then you can run that from your dbt as well with the dbt extension for BigQuery. Then we have the Dataplex automatic discovery. So actually, in the interest of time, I didn't put all the different Dataplex updates on the slide, but there's a lot of things going on in the data governance space. So it's something that for mature and bigger organizations and enterprises is a really, really important topic. I think that's the main driver right now around data projects. For bigger data projects is the ability to be able to govern your data within the organization. So Dataplex automatic discovery that went generally available helps with this issue. So it automatically discovers things in your cloud storage as well to gather metadata into your governance layer. Then the next one is translation with YAML rules. This is also generally available. So if you are migrating different data workloads from different databases to BigQuery, then you would know that the SQL dialects can differ quite some between different databases. This translation feature that's also supported by Gemini, and now you can create YAML rules to guide this translation with Gemini as well. So these are great for you to have a bit more control, and if you regularly run into some issues yourself, then you can create YAML rules for your translation to follow that. Then we have the group by, struct, array, and all statements going GA. So of course the group by all is made possible by now all data types being supported for group bys, and it's great that you can now also group by, struct, and array. This is something pretty unique for BigQuery to rely so much on structs and arrays for creating nice and neat data models. And so having the ability to group by these is of course very nice. Then we have the BigQuery data transfer service Snowflake to BigQuery in preview. If you are struggling with migrating data to BigQuery from Snowflake, or you're using a third-party solution, maybe something you can look into is this BigQuery data transfer service that now supports Snowflake as a source. So this can replicate your data from Snowflake to BigQuery. Then we have the load and export data between regions feature that is now, again, generally available. Previously, it was always a struggle if you happened to have one data set in the EU region, another one in the US region, and then you had to work around that. You couldn't really easily get the data from one region to another. But now the load and export statements work across regions. So that's something that is very, very helpful especially for international organizations, but it might happen to you even if you're only in the EU, that you do a billing export and it happens to land in the US. And for example, we internally at Devoteam have that. We set up the initial billing exports to one region, and then you have to, if you want to change the region for your billing export, then you might lose some data. So Google can't guarantee that there is no data loss, and of course you don't want to lose any of that data. So we can't really change that now, and this feature is a big update on making that manageable. Right. Then you have continuous queries with auto-scaling going generally available. I think continuous queries is a really, really nice feature. If you're using the additions pricing, you have continuous queries as a feature. And now it can also use auto-scaling for your different slots. So if you have slot reservations, then your continuous queries will auto-scale. And that means that when you don't have a lot of data coming in, then you are not going to use that many slots, which is great for saving money and optimizing your data warehouse. If you haven't looked into continuous queries, I would recommend you do it. It's basically stream data processing within BigQuery with SQL. It's a really, really cool feature that I think simplifies your data landscape a lot. If you have streaming data. Then the ninth is the optional job creation mode. This is also generally available now. So when you run a query, you can specify that you want the optional job creation mode being turned on, and this will reduce a lot of the additional bloat that comes with creating a job in BigQuery. So it will make your query run faster if it's a small query. If you have like dashboards that run quick small queries to report, it's not processing a lot of data you already have in your final layer in your data warehouse. You have the final tables and your it's not a huge table and you're just doing a select or you're doing some basic filtering. Those are typically very quick queries, and creating a job means a lot of overhead, and with the optional job creation mode, that is solved. And then you have serverless PySpark in BigQuery notebooks. So if you use BigQuery notebooks and you want to run some serverless Spark jobs, then now it's possible you can use serverless PySpark to to process your BigQuery data and your BigQuery tables. So of course, this is great if you have things like external tables that are based on cloud storage and other things. So these features all combine together to really make BigQuery the centerpiece of your data architecture within Google Cloud. So I think these are the most interesting feature updates for BigQuery. And then we can look at some developer quality of life things just real quick here. So these are not necessarily going to save you time or you know, make you do something that you haven't been able to do before, but still something nice and makes your life much easier with BigQuery or more fun. So the first one is the Data Canvas Assistant. And this is an AI feature in BigQuery. If you have used the Data Canvas before, it's an interactive, low-code, no-code way of creating data pipelines that you can then also export as Python notebooks. And now with the Data Canvas Assistant, you get an AI assistant to help you write and create these data canvas flows and pipelines. It works like a data science agent and can do complex things. It's in preview. Go ahead and try it out. Maybe you will be pleasantly surprised as how easy it is to process complex data in BigQuery. Next one is saved query changes are automatically saved. So if you have any saved queries and that you are using, previously you started to edit it, you run it, and you're debugging or doing something, and then you forgot to save your changes, you shut down your laptop, and the next day you had to start all over again. That won't happen with this feature that went preview. Analytics Hub got renamed to BigQuery Sharing. Not sure how many of you are using Analytics Hub or looking into using Analytics Hub, but we have a few customers who are using Analytics or who were using Analytics Hub. Now they're using BigQuery Sharing to share the data that they have in BigQuery externally. So this is great when you're trying to monetize on your data, or if you're an organization that is, let's say, a nonprofit organization that creates data sets that can benefit humanity or the world, and you want to share those. So this is a great feature within BigQuery, and now it's renamed to BigQuery Sharing. So maybe it's a bit more tied into the BigQuery ecosystem. Then, of course, fan favorite dark mode is supported now in BigQuery and the Dataform UI. So if that was the only thing holding you back from using Dataform to create your queries, then now you can use the Dataform editor in dark mode. There is also a setting to follow your system settings, so that's neat. You have manage IAM tags from SQL. If you use IAM tags on different things, then you might be pleased to see that now you can do that from SQL. You don't need to use the Google Cloud CLI. So if you have any pipelines that depend on SQL, then this will give you additional powers or simplify your other pipelines if this was the only thing you couldn't do from SQL so far. And then the query text section in Execution Graph. This is also in preview, but I think this is great if you've ever tried to debug a big, complicated query and look at why it's running slowly. And you looked at the execution graph. It had, the weird in between representation of your query, not necessarily your query and not necessarily the relational algebra representation of your query, but something in between that BigQuery is running. And now you will see the actual query text in the execution graph instead. So it's going to be easier for you to pinpoint the different things your query is doing and what's going on in the execution graph. I think this is probably the biggest developer productivity update from these 6. It's at least the one I'm most excited for. And then one last thing to announce around the BigQuery. It's the BigQuery Advanced Runtime, which is in preview. I don't think this was advertised enough. I got the information from Google that this has no drawbacks. So I think it's definitely something you should try to enable in each of your projects. It's a more advanced way of for BigQuery to process your data that is stored, and of course they do some compression algorithm to store your data. So it's a better way of working with that. The description of it on the web page for this feature is not great, so you don't get a lot of insights into how they do it or what they do. But what it does is that it makes your queries run faster and read less data. So this should decrease the time your queries are running, and this should also decrease the amount of money that your queries cost. And again, there is no drawback. So we tried it out. We see really good performance improvements. I suggest you all try it and see if it decreases anything for you. It should definitely decrease your cost and improve the performance. I also think I heard from Googlers that this is probably going to be the default setting, but right now it's in preview. But when it goes into GA, it's probably going to be the default setting. All right, moving on from BigQuery. So of course there are many other things or many other still use cases where you need a database and BigQuery is not the right fit. So Google offers a lot of things in that sense as well with Cloud SQL, Spanner, and AlloyDB. So if we look at the different solutions, first starting with Cloud SQL, then you get AI-assisted troubleshooting for Cloud SQL for SQL Server. If you have SQL Server running in Cloud SQL, then an AI will help you troubleshoot why it's running slow or why the query performance is not what you expect. And that's a great thing if you're just getting into data engineering and SQL Server. Moving on to Spanner, which is a very specific tool, or used to be a very specific tool. Not many people used it, but I think it's with the latest features, with the being a graph database and the vector database, I think Spanner is becoming a lot more attractive to a lot more companies. I would really recommend you look into it, especially with this last update that I put there. Now you get the 90 days free trial that you can just initiate from the Cloud Console, and you can try out the graph database, the vector database, the Spanner structured database. So all the features available throughout this 90 days free trial. Some other features that got released is the cross-region federated queries in BigQuery. If you know what Spanner is for, it's for globally distributed data storage. So of course the cross-region federated queries make a lot of sense. You can query your cross-regional Spanner data from BigQuery. Great stuff. Spanner external data sets with authorized views and routines in BigQuery is also nice. So if you create authorized views and you have Spanner external data sets, then you can include that data in the authorized views. If you have been using BigQuery authorized views, then this is great to connect your Spanner data as well. And then last but not least, the new kid in the block, the AlloyDB, of course, very popular nowadays with a lot of ML and AI type of workloads. It's Postgres compatible, but reimagined distributed database, sort of like BigQuery or Bigtable, that you have, the distributed storage, and you do processing on that distributed storage in a separate layer. So it's a bit different architecture, but it's Postgres compatible. And some new features is the vector ingestion pipeline with Dataflow. So if you want to use Dataflow to ingest vectors or ingest any data and create embeddings on the fly and put that into AlloyDB, now that's much easier. You don't have to write the pipeline yourself from zero. You also get the migration to AlloyDB from Cloud SQL for Postgres backup. So if you have Cloud SQL for Postgres running and you create a backup, then you can use that backup to directly migrate to AlloyDB. This combined with the already existing also AlloyDB free trial makes it even more attractive to migrate to. I think you should definitely look into AlloyDB if you need a database in Google Cloud. Right, and then some natural language support for some queries, and in AlloyDB Studio you also get some quality of life updates that I don't have time to go deeply into. And then I think this slide is a bit out of date, but anyway, we have the Dataproc zero scale clusters. So if you are using Dataproc to run your Apache Hadoop workloads, now you will be happy to see that they can scale to 0 if you want. That was not a feature previously. Very surprising, to be honest, in a cloud setting, but now it is. And then you have the share PubSub data through BigQuery sharing. So this is, again, if you want to monetize your data and sell your insights or sell your something, maybe you are an IoT company or you have other use cases where you produce some streaming data through PubSub, then now you can share that through BigQuery sharing. And then you get additional monitoring and IAM and all the sorts of features that you would expect from an enterprise data sharing solution. Then we have Dataflow write fitting for streaming, which is a very nice feature. So this was supported for only batch processing before, but now also for streaming, you have the write fitting, so you can specify exactly what resources your parts of your pipeline will need. And then my favorite feature is SMTs in PubSub. So single message transformations in PubSub. You can create user-defined functions and attach those functions to your different subscriptions or topics. If you attach it to a topic, then every message in the topic will be transformed by that function. And if you attach it to a subscription, then every message that hits that subscription will be transformed. And this can transform the attributes and the message itself. So this is a great lightweight stream processing solution if you have streaming data coming in PubSub and you just want to, do some very, very simple transformation on the data. Then you don't need to create cloud functions or cloud run services and all that. But yeah, PubSub can now do that for you. I think this is my last slide. So again, let me know if you have any questions around any of these updates or just in general around data processing in BigQuery and Google Cloud. And now I give the stage to Kais.
Thank you. So to be honest, for me, it wasn't easy at first. Why? Because there was Google Next happening not that long ago. I think last time we had this session, it was Tristan doing the session. He mentioned a lot of updates from Google Next, which is of course the big stack of updates that we have. So then the release note is that can be a little bit, how to put that, a little bit disappointing, perhaps. That's a strong word, but just saying that some like Gemini 2.5 Flash and Pro were GA, that's nice, but compared to what you saw last time, it wasn't that probably that interesting. But lucky me, there was Google I/O in May, so there were still some cool announcements that were made. So I tried to look at that and came up with a summary of the to me at least, the most important, most interesting updates. So getting right into it, we have the AI mode, that was introduced by Google, and it's basically going to enhance the overall search experience. So that is really in your Google search. At its core, it's a new experimental way to search that's only available within labs. So you cannot see that yet. Unfortunately, it will come soon, hopefully. But it's basically powered by a more advanced version. That's what they say, a more advanced version of the Gemini models, and that's really specifically designed to handle these tough, complex requests that you would typically require you to basically run a lot of search, have a lot of tabs opened, perhaps to piece everything together. So think of, I don't know, comparing complex products against one another, exploring a new nuanced topic, perhaps. This is basically handled for you by this AI mode. And so what makes it so powerful comes down to a few key highlights. First, as you can see, it really handles complexity, as I've already mentioned. So you can stop breaking down your thoughts into multiple queries and just ask one high-level query, and it will just answer all the multi-part questions, let's say, at once. Secondly, it handles advanced reasoning. So behind the scenes, it's going to create a plan, run multiple searches simultaneously on all the different parts of your questions, and synthesize the results. So this is really how it can compare detailed options so effectively, because, well, as you might know, Google can leverage a lot of their own infrastructure to perform horizontal scaling, so they can run everything in parallel, which is better than sequentially, of course. Then it's also deeply integrated. What does that mean? It's not just a buzzword. It just means that basically it's not only a layer on top of search to make that a little bit more fancy. No, it's really woven into Google's core information systems. So it has access to the knowledge graph of Google. It has access to shopping information that you can see on Google search as well. And it can pull those information in real time to give you really a complete and comprehensive answer. And finally, the point is not only to give you a summary, even though, of course, that's also what it does, but it really helps you to discover more in terms of web content than just having a link that will answer to your question. So it's, let's say, going all out to give you more information and opening doors to maybe some things you haven't thought about when you asked the question at first. So it's really quite complete. As I said in the beginning, it's still experimental. It's in the labs, so it's really limited right now. Actually, a lot of things that I will show today, I don't even have access to it myself. It's mostly in the US in a test group, so that's going to hopefully be rolled out soon. But for now, it's only for Google One AI premium subscribers to provide feedback on this, because, of course, Google want to move fast, so they want feedback, so they are already at that stage. Then we have Veo 3. I'm pretty sure you have heard of it, seen some funny videos around it. I know I have. Well, you know Veo 2. It's basically the video generation model of Google, sorry. Now we have a new version of it. That's, of course, state of the art. That's accessible on Vertex AI for integration within your workflows or any application you might need to have this to leverage. It's still on allow listed, so it's not just GA yet, of course, but it's still usable already. What's really nice about this and how it differs from previous iterations, well, the fact that it can handle text, image, and in the input prompt, that was already the case, but so that's really a nice thing to have, right? To have that multimodal understanding, to take multiple types of information, of context, put them together and generate something out of that. So it's not only built really to generate what you want to see, but can also integrate somehow with having the let's say, a feeling that you provide, having a style that you provide. And if you think about it, Imagen can already do that. If you ask for a specific type or a specific style in your image, it can do that. So it's kind of the same in here applied to a video. So it is really a major leap forward, because we're talking about unprecedented quality and control. In this case, it can really produce well, high quality, high definition quality videos that can extend beyond 1 minute, and that they do maintain consistency with characters, with objects throughout the scenes. So really understands the cinematic language. So you can ask for shots like time lapse, like an aerial view, and Veo will be able to deliver that to you. Now, something that is really game changing, is really, in my opinion, puts it on top of any other such model of generation, of video generation, is the fact that it can synchronize dialogue, sound effects, and even background music into your video, and that will perfectly match. And if you think about Sora, for example, which is a very good video generation model, it only, which is already good, right? Only generates the video, doesn't add sound. So that's really game changing here. And the multimodality I already mentioned. So there is also something else for the next slide, which is called Flow. And Flow also has been introduced in Google I/O. It's basically a specialized AI filmmaking interface or tool that's well designed to help storytellers bring their ambitions, their vision to life, so to speak. So that's what we're talking about here. So what's really nice about it is not just about creating content. It's really about putting all pieces together to generate and manage your content. So it definitely uses Veo, of course. It's also using Imagen and Gemini to generate images that you can use as basis to create your films. To add some more context, of course, through text with Gemini. And so it's not, as I mentioned, only about creating these clips or scenes. It's also allowing you to manage these assets that are called ingredients. And you can also extend those and transition between shots using what's called a scene builder. And so these assets that were generated with using Imagen, as we see in the GIFs, you can integrate them into various scenes so that you can really, in doing so, making sure that you have consistency and continuity in your different scenes in your videos. Now, a quite, in my opinion, convenient feature consists in being able to learn from a growing showcase of AI-generated content on Flow TV. So there, you basically have access to a lot of prompts from everyone. Those are public, and so you can see different techniques, different approaches, what they led to in terms of generation. So I think it will also help everyone in terms of learning curve to really get the most out of this new tool. And again, of course, in terms of accessibility, we don't have access to it yet. It is only available for Google AI Pro and Ultra subscribers, and in the US, as I mentioned before. This is where it starts. Hopefully, we'll see that coming out in Europe soon. Moving on now to Gemini Live. I think you probably have heard about it, but basically it's like having a real life assistant, an intelligent assistant next to you that has a better understanding of the world around you, and it does so by having different ways of interacting with it, right? So you have the video, you have through image, through sound, because you can speak to it, through text, you can read, you can type in stuff. Small parenthesis here, perhaps, before we talk some more about it, but it's not to be confused with what's called world models. World models, well, if you know how LLM works, it's basically next token prediction, right? It's auto-completion, but way more powerful. So if you want to build artificial general intelligence, you need world understanding, really. LLM is not enough to get there. They don't have, even the smartest LLM don't have the world understanding of I don't know, a bird or what a cat would have, for example. So if you want to get to that stage, we need models that have understanding of perception of the 3D world we're living in, have knowledge of all the laws of physics, for example, and much more than that. So there is indeed active research on these types of models, these world models. There is not anything significant coming out of that today, but some people have announced that they're working on it, for example, at DeepMind. So that was just a parenthesis to mention that, yes, in this case, Gemini Live has ways of interacting, so to speak, with the real world, but it doesn't have a real understanding of what the real world is, right? There is a small distinction to make. So coming back to Gemini Live, there are different types of applications of it, which I think can prove to be very useful in people's day-to-day life. For example, think of visually impaired people. For example, with Gemini Live, you can point your phone in a specific direction and ask, well, what it sees, what it reads. And so Gemini will be able to give you real-life insights as it is analyzing the image and the video and the context it has access to. In addition to that, you can also integrate it with multiple applications and types of information. So it has also a broad understanding of, for example, where you need to go with Google Maps, or some events you might have with Gmail or Calendar. And so doing so, it can support you better in the say recommendations or messages it gives you. Of course, there is a developer API that people can use to develop agentic applications that need these real-time voice and video interactions with low latency. It is still in preview, but if I remember correctly, I think services like Customer Engagement Suite leverage this technology, or at least it should be on the roadmap. I know I've seen a demo of that. I think it was at Google Next or around that period, of the Customer Engagement Suite product using that live API. So if it's not there yet, it will be at least. Then we have agent mode. By the way, there is some renovation work at my place, so there's some drilling. I don't know if you hear about it. I hope not. But there's nothing I can do about it, so sorry about that. So there is this new feature called agent mode. You might think of these as overlapping with some other. It might to some extent, but it's really a different tool. So it's basically a new addition to the Gemini application. So it's taking the Gemini application and transforming that into really an intelligent system. So it is a system that will combine, of course, the LLMs of Google and be able to use tools and interact with the digital world. And so that's actually what it got from, we see here, Project Mariner, which was a research project from DeepMind. And so it has what is called, what's the name again? Computer use. Basically, that's the ability to connect to the digital world. And so that's what they brought into that agent mode. So this is really, by the way, what makes it an agent, the ability to take actions, to complete tasks for us. If it's just a chatbot that answers message, that is able to look up information, that's not what is called an agent. So this is a difference here. And so there's really out to be a multitask powerhouse, in my opinion, that could interact with websites and apps, different apps, to get things done. It follows a method that's called teach and repeat, where basically the idea is you show it something once, a task once, and it learns how to plan for similar tasks in the future. So it's really a reinforcement learning to the next level, if you want to simplify this. Now, a crucial thing to mention is that it is built for deep integration into different tools, into different services. So by using the Gemini API and protocols like MCP, it can connect to other services and not like, let's imagine, a real assistant would. Last but not least here, it really handles tasks from end to end. So let's imagine you want to book a flight to go to some destination, I don't know, Japan. You have some dates in mind. You have a budget. You have some weather that you would like to have. Or perhaps not a date. Let's not make this too complex because, of course, it's not being able to do anything impossible. But let's say I want a destination in between 2 months. I want this for a specific budget. I want the weather to be nice. It is going to be able to find ways to solve the task, taking into account these constraints. So practically speaking, it would go on a booking website, for example, apply the filters, find the different dates that match with, for example, the weather information that you could find on another website, and give you the maybe 2-3 best recommendations for you. So again, it's quite nice. You don't have to go in different tabs and look for that yourself. So that is also quite a game changer, but this is just an experimental version of it, and that is not even there yet. So for the Gemini app subscribers, this experimental version will be coming out soon, but there is not even a date yet. And then that is something that is that wasn't mentioned, I think, or was it at the Google I/O, sorry. But Agent Space. I mean, Agent Space, you all have heard about it. For this, I did go and look at the release notes because it changes fast, and so there are some pretty neat updates on that tool. First, you have the app level feature management. So you can choose on the, I don't know if you can see that properly. I can perhaps open Agent Space and share that right after this to show you a little bit what I mean. But so you can choose to have the agent gallery appearing or not. You can choose to have the prompt gallery. So prompt gallery is all these examples of prompts you might have. Agent gallery is all the custom agents that you can have coming from Google or deployed by yourself. The no-code agent, so the ability to create such an agent that we see in the GIF here below. This also can be configured, and whether you want to have access to Notebook LM Enterprise. So this is on when you configure your project on the GCP project side. You can choose to toggle on or off basically these features. Nice to have from a UI perspective. It's not game changing, but it's nice to have. We see that there is involvement, let's say, in how Agent Space is being implemented and further deployed. Now, you can also chat about uploaded content, which was the case already before, right? You could upload some things from, let's say, a PDF. I believe there was also a way to upload files from your drive. At least it's the case from the Gemini app, so I think it is also possible. Let me double check that. No, I don't think it is. It's connected to Drive with a connector anyway. But now what changed is that you can really put Excel files with multiple sheets, which wasn't possible before. So that's also quite convenient if you have a big file with a lot of context, a lot of different information in there. Something that was also very much asked by different customers is the ability to choose your model. Now, it's only 2.5 Flash and 2.5 Pro, so it's still, of course, Google models. You don't have a hub with all of other types of models, but still you have the ability to choose what type of model you want, and you also have the ability to keep it in automatic selection so that it chooses the best model for you, basically. Now, when it comes to agents, you have two types of agents you can deploy or include into Agent Space. First, we have the no-code agent, which is really what we see here below. So this is basically, if you know the gems in the Gemini app, this is where you basically put a prompt. So you want a task to be tackled by a specific prompt. You can save that prompt and have some more context attached to it and saved so that you can reuse that later on. This is the same thing, but more advanced. So you can have a prompt to save the context and have your agent that specializes in one specific domain. But you can also add, which was not there previously, add some specific data sources. So choose which connectors you want to attach to that no-code agent, and also tools. So from the actions that are potentially configured at in your agent space project, you can also choose which one you want there. So you can really, well, first you can ground the information it's going to generate based on specific data that you have, and you can also empower it to perform some actions. Finally, we have custom agents. So ADK, you probably have heard of that, Agent Development Kit. That's really, let's say, the new LangGraph, for those who know it. So it's the orchestrator that will, or the framework to orchestrate your agentic AI workflows. That's done, it's honestly, it's very early, of course, it's open source, but it's really easy to use. When you compare that with the way LangChain does that, it's a bit less intuitive from a Python development perspective, whereas here it really abstracts away a lot of things, so it's quite easy, and you can really set up a simple agentic application quite fast. And so you need to deploy that on Vertex AI Engine to then bring it back into agent space. So now it's also, we're no longer stuck, let's say, with the out-of-the-box connectors. We are able to really virtually do whatever we want and bring that into agent space, which is quite convenient. And if I can just perhaps share my screen just to show you, in case you haven't seen this agent gallery. So this is, you see, that's the agents made by Google, so the deep research agent that you might have heard about. From our organization, there are some agents that are released here. So here you have the Dialogflow agents and the ADK agents. Both are here. And then you have your own agent, so that's a no-code agent that you can look at. This is just for a demo that I built this previously. The prompts gallery, I think if you've touched a little bit the Gemini in Vertex AI, you will have seen something similar, even in the Gemini app, I think. So that's basically just prepared prompts for you to use if you have a specific use case in mind. And then NotebookLM also, well, NotebookLM, you probably know about this, but it's basically that's integration into agent space. And then, yeah, there was also the last thing was the agent. So you can configure whether you want to have these types of agent accessible or not as part of agent space. And that is all there is to the updates, or the most interesting part of the updates for this quarter, or since April, actually, so last 2 months. Hopefully this was interesting to you. And yeah, if you have any question, let me know. Even if some question pops in your head in a couple hours, just send me a message and I'll answer gladly. I guess there is no question. I don't have access somehow because I shared. I cannot go to the next slide, but the next slide was basically, do you have any questions? So here we are. All right, thank you, everyone. I'll leave the floor to Laura if you have anything left to say to close the session.
No, all good. Thanks, guys, and thanks everyone for joining and for your time. Hopefully see you next time.
Have a great day, everyone.
Thank you, everyone. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.